Okay, so this story is really one for the books. I was dating a guy who was a little bit older than me. I was left and cheated on in my previous relationships, so I really tried hard for this one to work. And about a year into a relationship, he came up to me and said that he wanted a family and kids. The thing is, I was only 19 at the time, and from a logical standpoint, I still kind of wanted to finish college and travel. So he broke up with me. But that's not really the crazy part of the story. I was so heartbroken. I really wanted to be with him. I even started thinking about how I wished we had a baby. Then, 2 weeks later, I started seeing my body changing. My breasts became larger, my belly swollen. I think I even felt something moving inside me. I called my mom and told her about it, and she said that I was pregnant 100%. She told me not to come back home that holiday because she didn't want to see me throwing my life away. I got in touch with my ex-boyfriend. He was shocked too, but I thought that maybe we would actually become a family. But then we went to the doctor. He ran some tests, and the thing is, my body was actually making the pregnancy hormones, and I was experiencing the symptoms, but there was no baby. I experienced this thing doctors call false pregnancy. I wished so hard that I could stay with my boyfriend and have a baby that I tricked my body into thinking that I was having a baby. We eventually broke up as I decided that I wasn't ready, but in some macabre way, I still joke with my friends about having a ghost baby named Casper.
Okay, so it all happened at summer camp between middle school and high school. I didn't know anyone there, and I am pretty shy around new people. One night, the girls in my cabin were playing Never Have I Ever, and one of the girls said she had never done the deed. I wanted them to think I was cool, so I lied and said I had. Everyone seemed impressed at the time and wanted to know the story, but I told them I didn't kiss and tell. It felt so cool. But the next morning, one of the girls started asking me all about it and the guy. I tried to shrug it off, but she just wouldn't let it go. I was so scared to get caught that I just made up a story. I made it into this big and amazing thing. The girl was obsessed. She told me because of my story, she also wanted to lose her virginity. I really tried to talk her out of it, but it was hard because I'd already said that it was a mind-blowing experience. So I just figured it was a girls' camp. It's not like there were a ton of boys running around that she could even do it with. Yeah, so the last night at the camp, she told the whole cabin that she had lost her virginity with the archery instructor, who was 17 at the time. Most of us didn't believe her, but as I later found out, she absolutely did, and had the baby to prove it. And as I later found out by myself, it was not as amazing and way more awkward than it was in my imaginary story.
So my boyfriend and I have been dating for about 2 years when he said that he got a job in England. We decided to do this long distance thing because we really loved each other and were ready to work on it. The last few months before his departure were crazy. We were really adventurous because we didn't know when we would see each other again. Fast forward to about 8 months after he left, the distance was taking a toll on us, so I decided to surprise him by booking a ticket and flying there. It was a long flight, but every minute of it I was really excited. But 4 hours before landing, I started feeling excruciating pain. I thought that maybe it was period cramps, but I'd never had them, at least not as painful. There was a doctor on board. I was screaming as he kept asking me, "Could you be pregnant?" That would be crazy, I thought. I hadn't noticed any symptoms. Yet, believe it or not, my surprise baby was coming into the world. We were close to landing when I finally delivered him with a bunch of people watching closely as this miracle happened. I had to call my boyfriend to pick me up and drive me to the hospital. He was scared as he thought that something had happened, and he drove in his car to the airport pretty much in his pajamas. A bunch of other passengers were standing around me in a circle, waiting for the baby daddy's reaction. He rushed to see me through all these people, pretty much ready to see me lying on the ground. Yet what he heard was his baby boy screaming. I couldn't say anything, just shrugged awkwardly as this wasn't exactly the surprise I was planning. But my boyfriend was happy, and our baby boy Skylar will definitely never forget that he was born in the sky.
My story might be uncomfortable for some, but here goes. I always really wanted kids. Like, everybody has dreams, and my dream was to have a big, happy family. The problem is, my relationships would always fail, one after another. I was 23 and the guys I dated really didn't want to settle down. So I decided, screw them. I'm gonna have a kid on my own. I just didn't know how. I couldn't just produce them out of thin air. This is where my gay best friend Michael comes into the story. He's a tiny bit older and is really open-minded and free-spirited. We've been friends since childhood, and he's pretty much my family. One evening, we started talking about our love lives, and we came up with the perfect solution. We could be a family, just two best friends raising a child. We didn't even have to do the deed. We went to the clinic, and they did it in the modern medicine way. But it wouldn't be as crazy if it ended there. We were already 9 months in, labor started, and we drove to the hospital. And who do I see as the main doctor there? My high school sweetheart. My first love was a doctor who helped me bring my daughter into the world. It would have ended there, but after a couple of days, Michael, my high school sweetheart Dave, and I were joking around, and it just came up that Michael and I weren't dating. It would have slipped my mind, but after about a month or so, Dave visited us to check on the baby and asked me out on a date. So here we are, about 2 years after my daughter was born. Dave and I are married now, and my daughter has 2 dads in the most unexpected way.
So, first of all, I think it's important to know that I have chronic fatigue syndrome. So I usually have mental confusion and I can be rather slow. This is why my breakup story is so heartbreaking and hilarious at the same time. My girlfriend and I had been together for about 6 months, and I thought that we were pretty happy. Sometimes we'd even talk about moving in together and what our wedding would be like. But last month, she gave me the most unexpected news. I felt that she'd been acting out lately and had pretty big mood swings. I tried asking her about it, but she would get even more irritated. Then one day, she was really late to come home. So I checked her Google Calendar and saw that she had a doctor appointment. I was obviously pretty scared and angry that she didn't tell me that something was wrong. Well, that evening, when she came back home, she did tell me. We sat down, and my girlfriend told me that she was pregnant. I was mortified. I couldn't say a word for 10 whole minutes, thinking about how I'm not ready to be a parent. I'm still very young, you know? Then it kind of dawned on me that I'm on a contraceptive implant, and I told her so, as she kept looking at me like I was crazy. Finally, I realized how ridiculous my reaction was. 'Cause I'm a girl, I couldn't even get her pregnant. Obviously, we broke up, and it was pretty sad, but at least I got a hilarious story to tell people. The looks on people's faces when you tell them that you abandoned a pregnant woman for a moment are so angry and furious until it hits them too that it wasn't your fault. I'd probably be really depressed if I didn't look at these traumas and heartbreaks as my character development. It's just my backstory. I'm still waiting for the real thing.